You are all of you beneath me. I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Puny god.
Hello Internet, Jojo here, and today I'm going to bust a feat. Specifically a feat from Fairy Tail. Specifically a feat from Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest. Century Quest, whatever you want to call it. You see, in a recent chapter, or I don't know, it's been a while I think, maybe 10, within 10 chapters I think, a certain Dragon God, or whatever you want to call them, did something that most people have interpreted one of two ways, generally. What the Moon Dragon God did was she made the moon appear larger in the night sky, or the day sky, but turned at night because moons. Now, some have taken that to mean that this Dragon God is pulling the moon closer to Earth, and others have taken it to mean that she's just adding more mass onto the moon. And then there are people like me who disagree with both of these for good reason, and we will get to that. The problem with both those thought processes is that they're both absolutely incredibly wrong. You see, there's no reason to assume that any character has the ability to affect the moon that much. Not a single reason. In fact, early on in this series, during the Galuna Island arc, we were told that no wizard on Earth could destroy the moon. Now, I get that is very early on in the series, but considering how Mishima writes his stories, he is setting a cap for his characters. But beyond that, because honestly, even if the author did come out and say something like that, we would kind of have to ignore them if they actually did manage to pull the moon into the Earth, causing a global catastrophe. So that's not a big piece of the argument. My main problem is, this cannot be her making the moon larger by adding mass to it. One, it's not within her abilities. Two, it would make no sense because that would require a massive amount of power to do, and she never even acknowledges that she did it. And three, it's just stupid considering the series we're in. Like, it's a magic series, not a science series. But the second argument, which is more plausible, I will admit that, is that the Moon Dragon God Selene pulled the moon to Earth. That's also just ridiculous. No one ever states that she pulled the moon, only that she made the moon bigger, hence why the first idea is around, because they say that she made the moon bigger, not pulled the moon closer. But pulling the moon is going to be a bit more likely, probably, than making the moon bigger, just by adding mass to it. But the thing is, it's just so vague. Think about it. You have this character who makes the moon bigger, and they only mention it really in passing. I mean, the first time she uses it is in a fight that she loses. Now, to be fair, she actually planned on losing that fight, but then why do it at all? Like, if you plan on losing the fight and it took up so much of her power, why would you do it? Why would you waste that much energy? Second thing is, that's not within her abilities. Selene doesn't have the ability to control the moon. At best, she can control moonlight, because that's all we've ever seen her do. And she does have some ability to go back and forth between dimensions, but that's all. She doesn't have moon power. Just like none of the other dragon gods have 100% control over all their element. Mercophobia does not have 100% control over all the water in the world. Ignia does not have 100% control over all fire in the world. Alderaan does not have all power over all wood in the world. It's not something they have. Despite their name, they're not actual gods. They are just incredibly strong magic users. And no magic user has complete dominance over whatever magic they use. It simply isn't a thing. Selene doesn't use magic like that. She does not have telekinesis. Of everything we've seen, Selene has never shown a telekinetic ability to pull stuff, to lift stuff, to make things move. Never done that. Her magic, what we've seen, is more of taking moonlight and molding it into, I think one time she makes birds, other time she makes blades. This would also be such a massive boost in power for the entire fairy tale world. Like massive. I'm pretty sure you could take every feat in the entirety of the story and it wouldn't add up to someone pulling the moon closer to the Earth like this. It just wouldn't happen because it's such a massive boost. Now, I don't have a problem with that being such a massive boost in itself, but it's so vague. It's not treated like it is. If Mishima wanted Selene to have pulled the moon towards Earth, he would have made sure we knew that she pulled the moon towards Earth. Like, we've seen what he did in Eden Zero. We know how he treats celestial objects. That's not how he treated it here. It was very different. When Mishima wants something to happen, he makes sure you knew it happened. Like the Tenro Island, the tree, we see the tree come back straight. Irina's meteor, we saw that multiple times coming down from space and hitting Earth and stuff. These are very blatant, but this was so vague. It's such an offhanded comment that we cannot assume it was actually her doing that. It more likely than not, this is what I think is happening, is she is simply manipulating either the light coming from the moon like she does to make her weapons and making it appear bigger, something kind of like a magnifying glass, I guess. Or 2, manipulating the space in between Earth and the moon, like she does dimensions, to make it look bigger. She just cannot pull the moon. She's never shown that ability. No dragon, none, have shown telekinetic abilities. When she's first introduced, she is introduced as the dragon who can cross dimensions, not the dragon who controls the moon. So her pulling the moon doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, if she was to threaten someone with dropping a moon on them, that's a different scenario entirely. We can actually look at that, and that might help justify. But that's not what's going on. It's so vague, it doesn't make sense for her to do it. It's just wasting power. Like, if this is an actual feat, this is an end of arc fight feat, not something that you just do at the start. And this isn't even mentioning how pulling the moon closer to the Earth would affect gravity, the tides, and just destroy everything else on the planet and cause global catastrophes. Something that Mishima knows quite a bit about, because he's very atmospheric with his storytelling. And so something like this he would know would cause and affect the atmosphere. And also, throughout all of fiction, the moon and moon magic has always been connected to, illusions, hypnotism, or some sort of illusory magic. Like, think about it. Naruto. The entire last arc of Naruto was about a big moon in the sky gonna hypnotize everybody on the planet. I mean, then you have sayings like the man in the moon. The moon's made of blue cheese. It's very symbolic. Almost never, very rarely, is it actually literal. More times than not, the moon is connected to, symbolic, illusory type of stuff. So, for this and everything else, it's incredibly difficult to justify this being an actual feat of power because, it's so vague. Plus, it wouldn't matter for this scenario anyway, because she was in a world that was about to explode, literally, with magic. And even come back to the regular world, she might still be amped by that magic a little bit. So, is this an impressive feat? Absolutely. It is. This is a massive feat. Her range of effect is huge, depending on what this is. If she is actually taking the light from the moon and manipulating it to it looks bigger on the Earth, then that means her range could extend to the moon itself. But is this pulling the moon from orbit and then putting it back quicker somehow? No. That's not something she can do. And it wouldn't make sense. Because, as I mentioned, that's not within her abilities. So, all this said, guys, if at some point in the future someone does pull the moon from orbit, well, that changes the scenario. But for now, this doesn't make any sense because 1, it's not within her abilities. 2, it wouldn't make sense with her powers that she has displayed. 3, no other dragon god or character has ever shown that level of power before. 4, even if you added up every single attack in Fairy Tail, I don't think you get something this powerful. 5, it doesn't make sense in context. 6, Mishima treats celestial bodies very differently than what is being treated here. 7, instead it's being pulled. There's just no reason to assume that this is a feat comparable to pulling a moon from orbit. This feat bothers me beyond belief because people actually they believe it and they use it in versus debates, but it's not. I legitimately do love Fairy Tail, and I would love to see these characters get way more powerful. But this ain't it, folks. If you want to see people destroying planets and, flying across space at faster than light speeds, there are plenty of other series that can do that. Naruto, Toriko, Eden Zero, honestly. But this is not a feat that is worth arguing about. So, thank you for watching. Consider this feat busted. Remember to stay spectacular. JoJo out.
Bust this.